Okay, so let's now start to add some leaves. So let's select the last generator, right click, add some batch leaves. Right from the beginning they are far too big, so let's reduce their size maybe to 0.05. And let's put some more. So let's go to Gen tab, and we want to make them generated use phyllotaxy and with the alternating mode. Let's decrease the internal length to put some more. And we might want to put a little bit of randomness on the size. So let's go back to skin, add some plus minus 0.02. And something we might want to add as well is to say that they are bigger on the lower part of the tree and smaller toward the top. So what we can do here is, instead of doing a variation based on their parent, we might do a variation based on the one parent before. So the ivy trunk is the longest one, so we can just make a variation based on this one. And if we want to choose a preset, we could choose like the linear decay, for example. So they are just getting smaller and smaller toward the top. So we might raise a little bit if we don't want this to be too small at the end, and we might also add one more point here by double clicking on the curve and raise this a little bit if we want the effect not to be that pronounced. So I can also double click on this to add some tangents to the curve, so I can smooth the effect a little bit that way. And it's a bit slow because it's always refreshing the effect on the leaves, so it's a bit hard to tweak. But let's say it's okay like that. And I might increase the global size because it's getting a bit too small like that. And we'll need to have an actual shader on these leaves to see what's actually happening. So let's add a new shader. So let's go to the materials and click plus here. And the same way I download some Atlas leaves for the oak leaves, I did the same for the ivy. So either on Megascan, or you can paint your own ones, or I don't know, find some free leaves to use. So let's pick the albedo. Let's go back to the opacity and plug the opacity for the leaves. We might also use the normal, and let's also plug the glossiness, which is actually a roughness for now, so we can just invert the map to make it a glossiness map. And for now, if I use this on our leaves, it's gonna be just using the full. So I can also rename the shader, because for now it's not very convenient to use this kind of weird name. So let's name it ivy leaf shader. Okay, and let's now add it on our leaves. And for now, it's just using the full atlas for the leaves, and it's not visible on the back side. So let's go back to settings, add some two-sided option for seeing the back of our leaves. We might also add the subsurface if we want to see a bit better using the translucency, or I don't know, the translucency seems to be a bit dark, but let's try and see how it looks, and let's increase these. Oh, maybe it's a bit too much. Let's go back to 20%, 10%. Okay, anyway. So now we need to draw some cutout mesh for our leaves. So let's edit the first one. I don't like to click and drag sometimes these points, so I just kind of delete them and directly create the point where I want them to be. So let's go back to the point creation, and I can just, with the mouse wheel, zoom on the leaf I want to draw. So let's add some point like that. Let's keep a central spine just so that I can fold them. So you see, it's even quicker to build the leaves like that than trying to click and drag the points which are pre-existing. Sorry, and the Ctrl Z is not working very well, so I just kind of go back here. So you can offset the anchor if you want to imagine that there was actually a twig holding them. Might be helpful. So let's store this first leaf, and let's create another one just to have a few leaves variation. But I can skip these parts, just like you can create some more by yourself, and I will end up doing it. But anyway, I'm gonna use some leaves in Houdini at the end, so I will make the randomness on each leaf anyway later. But if you want some more leaves here, you can just go back to your cloud mesh and add some more. Okay, so for now, the leaves are pointing a bit randomly. We could align them, and it would align them on their parent, but it wouldn't align them based on the underlying tree. So we already have a force for the trunks, the combined trunks, which is used to make the vine grow on. But I want to create another one just to make an alignment force. So I can go and select again the trunk extension and the trunk, and we'll do right click, make geometry force from selected. So it's going to select the two generators and make one force from them. So let's call it combine trunk align. So it's going to be my align force. And this force, I'm going to put the strength at 0 and put the align strength at 1. And in the align tab here, I'm going to use the linear alignment, and I can decrease the distance. So it's going to grab all the leaves which are in this parameter, in these perimeters, and try to align them to the trunk. So here I can okay, it's pretty good. I can remove the fall off if I want to make a hard grab. I can also choose the hard option if I want to be just like taking everything which is in this radius. Let's make it bigger so I'm sure to actually catch every leaf. Okay, so now if I want this force to take effect, I can go back on my leaf, and in the force tab here I can activate the combine trunk align force, and I can put it straight to 1 if I want to make it fully effective. So now we have the leaves actually oriented to the trunk. I can hide eventually the ivy trunk if I want to see a bit better the leaves generated. So now I can just show you with and without. So let's deactivate this. So it's just randomly oriented. And now if I align them to the tree, it's always facing the underlying trunk, which is pretty convenient. So I still have the orientation parameters if I want. So I can always put a bit of alignment if I want the leaves to point in the direction of their parents. So either upward or downward. Actually, ivy leaves tend to point downward, so I will just make a negative alignment value. And I can also, if I want, put a little bit of fold, if I want to make them raise a little bit, because for now they are kind of penetrating the trunk. If I put a bit of fold there, they will try to to raise a little bit. So now it's kind of accurate. I mean, I can start to put also a bit of sky influence, for example, if I want them to rotate a little bit toward the sun. But actually, this is kind of the accurate way to make the leaves if you were seeing individual branch of ivy. But when the ivy start to get dense, actually the leaves start to fight for sunlight. So it might actually be more controllable to use a slightly different technique. So we could use actually the combined trunk align force to do attraction as well. Actually, not attraction. We are going to do some avoid force. So it's going to push the leaves outward. So all the leaves are going to be pushed away from the trunk. And in the orientation now, we could just use the sky influence up to 1. So just that they all look up like that. So I can just put these ones to 0, just to have the leaves pointing outward from the trunk. And now with the up vector in negative value, I can just make them look downward. So it's a bit more drastic way to have the leaves oriented the way we want. And now they are not actually influenced by the direction of their parent. So it's kind of more controllable like that. So we could put a little bit of variation on this, maybe like let's put 0.1 maybe. So they are pointing downward more or less. We could also add a little bit of curl. So let's put like maybe 0.1, or actually it's negative 0.2, and put some variation as well of 0.1, It's gonna make them look a little bit more natural. And fold is not super necessary. I might put a little bit of variation on the twist. That's why you're gonna twist side either way. 0.2 maybe. And yeah, it's a bit better now. So you see that actually, yeah, using this is less accurate because all the leaves tend to be on the same side of the branch, but it's okay. Another parameter which is interesting on the leaves is actually here they are placed according to the spine. If we go on the leaves and in the skin tab we click on weld, they're going to be offsetted to be actually laying on the geometry of the parent. So if there is a big variation, and if you're trying to place small objects on a big trunk, it might make a difference to actually offset it based on the skin size of the parent. So we are not too bad for now. Let's display again the main Ivy trunk, and we can also duplicate this leaf generator and put it on the Ivy trunk as well. So we have a bit more leaf density. So let's try it like that. Yeah, and now we have more leaves growing on our trunks. Okay, so as you see, it's not super easy to handle this rotation stuff, but with these techniques, you should have enough data to find your way, making a nice looking ivy. Maybe we can make these ones a little bit bigger if we want to occupy a bit more space. Let's make them maybe 0.1, and maybe increase a little bit the variation of their size, maybe like 0.5. And obviously, the more different leaves you put on the ivy, the better it's gonna look as well. Okay, so now let's try to display the rest of our tree and see where we are. So let's display again the branches and leaves and the roots. So it's gonna start to be a bit heavy because we start to have quite a complexity in the scene, but we are almost finished, so it's okay to have a bit of a lagging viewport. Okay. Not looking too bad. So you can always play a bit more with the parameters of the main ivy trunk and secondary branches to decide how much of the leaves are going to cover the trunks. And in the next video, we're gonna clean up a little bit the scene and look at exporting all our materials for the next step.